Flip, 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 Flip Weekly.
Hello and welcome to the Flip Weekly podcast. My name is Matt, I am your host, and this is a podcast all about reselling. We go to thrift stores, garage sales, we find things online like Facebook Marketplace to buy, to resell, to make a bit of money. Now it is Thursday, the 23rd of April, 2026, and I've got a huge episode for you this week. It feels like a long time since I've been back in front of the microphone. We had the past two episodes being somewhat placeholders. We told a story. We had a little break away from thrifting, but we are back. We are bigger than ever. And here's what I'm going to talk to you about this week. We have Lifeline pickups that are turning $2 into hundreds. We got a marketplace pickup that's going to go from $140 to $1,000. That's a 10 times return. You don't see that shit anywhere else. And then we have the Goosebumps Whatnot show going live tonight. You know what I'm going to sort of tease you about this week? I'm going to sprinkle it on. I'm going to give you an update about the greatest flip of all time. That's right. Something I cannot talk to you about. I'm just going to let something slip. Now you hear resellers, me included, talking about these small flips. We turn 10 into 20, we turn 2 into 100. This is going to leave all of them in the fucking dust. This is going to be the biggest flip of all time. I know I'm never going to repeat it. I'm going to give you a little snippet. I'm going to tell you just a little bit, just to fucking get you a bit excited for when I can talk about it in, what is it, August, September? We got all that plus plenty more. Join me as we go through what has happened for the past week. So we're back in the thrift. We are back. We're finding some bargains. We're trying to find at least $100 items. I'm joined with the Insta360. This is a camera that can attach to a magnet that you wear around your neck. And this camera is documenting every single thing that I find in thrift stores. It's inconspicuous, man. It's tiny. I blur out people's faces. I'm using it for Facebook Marketplace pickups. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I haven't really put any videos live at the moment. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I'm just testing it out. So if you jump onto social media, you'll be able to see, not yet. It was posted on a story, but you'll be able to see some upcoming videos in thrift stores, op shops, marketplace pickups. I'm really excited to start using it. I've practiced editing. It's just like editing normal videos, but this just means more reseller content. You know, you read the newsletter at flipweekly.com, you listen to the podcast, but now we're going to have the actual video. I'm going to be coming at all those fucking sensors, right? Your eyes and your ears. I thought there was more when you read the newsletter. You can consume the podcast, but I guess no. It's just your eyes and ears. I'm not coming in your mouth, right? Well, that fucking sounds gross. What are other senses, by the way? Taste, hearing, touch, I don't know. I guess it's just the exact same as everybody else. But look, we're going to be starting doing some of those videos. I've already worn it out in public. I've worn it in thrift stores and nobody has really picked up on it. I've worn it on Facebook Marketplace pickups, and looking back at the footage, the people don't look at the camera at all. It just blends in, which is really fucking cool. So I'm excited to start doing that. But before I start showing you these videos, we need to talk about what we're actually finding in thrift stores now. It feels like for the past week, I've had that feeling when you go in, you find nothing. You start to think, has everybody caught on by now? Are there no bargains out there in op shops? You start to feel a bit shit, right? And I'm thinking to myself, am I just going to, resell via Facebook Marketplace because that's where I'm getting all my, home run deals from? But just as you're having those thoughts, you walk into the next op shop and you find something that is a home run, really. And that's what happened this week. I walked into Lifeline and I came across these 3 little boxes. They all had $2 stickers on them. And to be honest, it's one of my favorite things to find because they had Japanese writing all over it, a tiny bit of English. And when you come across foreign items in op shops, this is your chance to make a lot of money. Now, why is that? Why are these foreign items a chance to make money? It's because people are inherently lazy. Like me, I'm inherently lazy. I think most people, when they go to work, they want to be doing the bare minimum, right? This is just a generalization of I guess, the entire population. But thrift store employees, they see this foreign stuff. They just like put it out for whatever. They chucked a $2 price sticker on. So what the fuck did I find? It was 3 of the exact same things in 3 small boxes, probably the same size of like your standard Australia Post small box, which I hate that I have the size memorized, 22 by 16 by 7. It's essentially that. Now, looking at the box, they look like those models, those plastic models that you pop out of their weird little sheets and you put them together. And these are models from a Japanese television series called Crush Gear Turbo. Never heard of it. You might not have ever heard of it before. But this thing ticked a few boxes, and I'm going to tell you what those ticks were, because I don't buy this sort of shit all the time. You might see them in, I've seen them in Australia Post, but yeah, they're just essentially little models that you put together. Some of them have batteries, and this one had a battery-powered motor, but they just look like vehicles or some sort of like ship from this Japanese TV show. And all it had on the front was the words Crush Gear and the words Garuda Phoenix. Everything else was in Japanese, besides the label, besides the logo, which was Bandai. Now that should prick your ears up because Bandai is a good brand. Let me run you through all of the ticks that occurred to me when I was looking at these, okay? So we had the original box. We had the copyright date that said 2002. So this thing is old. You know, old things can be worth a bit of money. The second thing is one of the boxes was opened, and so I looked inside and all of the contents were sealed. So we had the plastic pieces of the ship, we had some of the gears, we had the little battery powered motor, we had the instructions, we had the sticker sheet. You know, if all of this was loose inside, I'm not going to deal with it. If the contents were loose, fuck that off. You have no idea besides counting if this is going to be complete. It's a bit different than, say, Monopoly. Monopoly, you know what is inside the box. You need the money, the chance cards, the community cards, and the tokens. Oh, plus like the houses and hotels, right? This thing, when it's in Japanese, you're not familiar with it. I'm not going to take a chance hoping that all the pieces are in there if, you know, it's not inside a plastic. So then we have Bandai. We know Bandai is a good brand. The fourth is that it's a foreign item. It has Japanese all over it. So I think, you know, this could be a good resale item because the staff, I don't want to say the staff are inherently lazy because they're not. Most of them are volunteers that do a really, really good job. But just people in general, right? If you're dealing with a lot of stock coming in, you're just going to put it out there. You know, I can't read this. I don't know what it says. Chuck a $2 sticker on, put it out the front. It's just what happens, right? I'm not talking shit about the workers, not at all. And the fifth reason is, you know, it's Japanese and I don't know, maybe I'm talking shit about these people, but fucking people love collecting this weird Japanese anime sort of gaming television show stuff. For some reason, a lot of Australian culture and maybe even Western culture is just in love with Japan for some reason. I've been to Japan. I'm not in love with it. There's too many fucking people in such a small amount of space. It's not fun. I don't understand the appeal. Yeah, there's cherry blossoms. They look cool. They're just flowers. Oh, they have a train that goes fast. Okay. As opposed to what? Australian trains that don't go fast? They go fast enough. Oh, they have a cool name, the bullet train. If you're in America and you have a bullet train, it means something entirely different. I just don't get the appeal. So because of those 5 things, I was like, I'm just going to buy it. It's $2 each. I check eBay. We have very few active listings. We have very few sold listings. However, the closest active listing on eBay, it's a different color. It's the same, I guess, ship, the Garuda Phoenix from Crush Gear Turbo. It's just a different color. That thing has active listings and sold listings around the $700 mark. Not even fucking kidding. They're just models. It's the exact same type of thing. Put this thing together, put the little stickers on, $700. And you know what's crazy is that there's sold comps for that as well. So I'm starting to get excited, but then I see our version. I guess the basic version, not this colorful yellow thing. It's the generic gray thing, right? We had a sold comp for $80, so, you know, it's close to $100, so I'm happy to buy it. So I have 3 of these cunts. I pay $2 each, $6 total. We have a sold listing for $80. I'm thinking I could probably turn these 3 into at least $300. Now we're going to come back to these models. I'm going to tell you about what happened in the what I sold portion of this podcast. I guess you can imagine what happens considering it's in the what I sold portion. But stick around for that. I'm going to tell you what I did because it wasn't a standard sale. But next, we're onto Facebook Marketplace. And if you are not browsing Facebook Marketplace as a reseller on a weekend, you are missing out on gold. People are clearing out their stuff. They're going through their garage. They're getting rid of their valuable items very cheaply, if not for free. And this is your time to strike. And if you want a free tip, sign up to your local buy, swap, and sell pages. Find your suburb on Facebook, find the group, join it. Because a lot of people post in those groups and they don't post on regular Marketplace. I've done that and I've walked away with a home run for this week. I've also learned a thing or two which I'm going to share with you. This is all about Skylanders. You would be very familiar with Skylanders if you sell any sort of video game or if you visit op shops. Because in most situations in op shops, you're going to find these things. They're going to be severely overpriced. I'm going to tell you exactly what to look for based on my weekend of drowning in this niche. So on Saturday, I came across a listing. It was only 15 minutes old. The title, Skylanders Collection with Rare, Gold and Special Edition Figures, $140 on my local buy, swap and sell. Now, I had no idea what to look for when it comes to Skylanders. You know, I work for a living, but I knew the basics. They're the action figures. You connect them to the portal. You would see the portal in every op shop. And then somehow they appear in the video game. At least that's my understanding. I've never played it. People collect them. People spend a lot of money on very specific ones. I think I tried to learn at one point in time, but because I never had to, I never had the figures, I never had the video games, I couldn't immerse myself. And I guess that's the way that I tend to learn. If I saw them at op shops, they were always priced so high behind the counter. I didn't want to take any risks, especially considering majority of their time they're sold as a bundle. So you're taking a gamble if you know nothing about them. I thought majority were worthless, but I saw this post. There was 90 figures in total, and at $140, they're priced at $1 each. They came with a storage chest that was filled with other little figure things, which I'll get into, and a couple of books, which obviously are pretty much worthless. Now, if you saw this, you might have read the description being like, well, I don't know anything, because it says Skylanders lot. 90 figures across the entire franchise, including Spyro's Adventure, Giants, Swap Force, Trap Team, Superchargers, wide variety of characters, elements, and rarities, including gold and special edition figures. She goes on, and you might be reading this and I don't know what any of this means. I didn't either. The first thing I did, take a screenshot, Google Lens, the storage case. This is the actual case that everything's stored inside. Whether it's Nintendo storage cases or luxury brand boxes, they can be worth a lot of money. You remember not that long ago, I found the Slipknot CD storage case in Savers for what was it? $2 or so? Sold it pretty much instantly for $100. Op shops would get these cases, for example, a Dyson box, for one of the hair straighteners. They'll get all excited. Oh my God, is this a brand new Dyson inside of it? They open it up, there's nothing there. Damn. They put just the box on the shelf for $2, not realizing that people pay for this shit. People will pay good money for that stuff. It's the exact same thing here. This person would have been like, well, this is the box. It's not worth anything. This Skylanders storage box, it has sold comps. I'm looking at them right now. There aren't that many on the market. The supply is low. The demand is high. We have sold comps going up to $200. And you know what this thing does? It just stores these fucking figures. It does nothing else. It's cheap cardboard. But because it has the Skylanders logo and its official product, people are spending good money on this. Now, if you're familiar with Skylanders, I'll tell you what it actually holds. It holds 38 Trap Team crystals. Now, these are rare items in the game. You probably already know. I didn't know. And if you include those crystals in your eBay listing, you can pretty much double your asking price. So I'm looking at sold listings here. Skylanders Trap Team storage case with 32 trap crystals, $400. Now we have this storage case with 11 crystals, $300. Then I go back to my Facebook Marketplace listing. This woman has the storage case and she has crystals inside of it. How many? About 14. Now that 11 crystal eBay listing sold for 300. So I do some quick maths and I'm like, I have to buy this, because if we can double our money just from the storage case, all of those 90 figures or whatever the fuck there were is going to be all profit. I mean, even the storage case alone is profit. I need to get this. I need to buy it. $140 on a weekend. Let's do it. So I pull the trigger. It's mine. I record all this on the Insta360. Sounds like a fucking ad for Insta360, but I promise you it's not. So it's a bit of a slog once I get them back, because I have to use Google Lens on every single one of these fucking figures, and that takes forever. Now, the thing that takes even more time is they each came with like this card, like a playing card that had the name. I didn't know what the names were, so I had to match them from Google Lens. It took a ridiculous amount of time. But the reason I was doing this, because I wanted to separate the cheap shit from the valuable shit, and then I'd offload the cheap shit on Marketplace in some sort of bulk deal. So anything over $50 goes on the left, anything under goes on the right. Now, of those 91 figures that were included, I would say majority, if not all of these fucking things, were worth nothing. Most were worth around $5 to $10 on eBay. They're not worth listing for me personally. We had a couple that went up to like $25, $30, but I don't want to be listing something on eBay for like $25. For me personally, I'm going to include them in the bundle so that somebody looking will be able to get some value out of it. So all that cheap shit listed as a bundle on Marketplace, $100. We're aiming for a quick sale. Spoiler alert, we got that quick sale pretty much instantly. We got that $100 back. So now all we have left are the items worth over $50. So we're just $40 from breaking even. There are a few valuable items that were left. First of all, we had the chest, which came with some crystals. Now I separated the 14 crystals that were valuable with the ones that weren't. I included the crystals inside of the chest on eBay. That chest, 10 crystals, $250 just for that. We had 3 items that were worth a combined $250 that were some sort of expansion pack. So they would have been bought all at the same time, and now they're worth $250. We had one little fucking crystal. And when I say crystal, it's a bit of plastic. It looks like a fancy key. I don't know what they do. We had one of them worth $70, and that sold in 24 hours, man. You'll have to go to flipweekly.com to check out what it actually looks like. But in total, we had a value, an eBay listed value of $920. Like, some of this is just insane money for what they are. So in terms of what to look out for with Skylanders, what I've learned from the past week, there's a few things. First of all, every figure that I picked up and I thought, oh, this looks like a good guy. Like, he looks big and strong and muscly. Oh, he's bigger than the rest of them. He must be valuable. They turned out to be worthless, right? The bigger they are doesn't mean they're more expensive. The more heroic they look doesn't mean anything. So if you see these in thrift stores and you think, oh, that's a big Skylander. Oh, he's big and strong. It doesn't mean it's going to be worth more money. I would say that the IP crossovers, they can be worth picking up. You know, if there's like a Bowser, a Crash Bandicoot, they're from different companies, but if they're doing like a Skylanders crossover, they can be worth a bit of money. But really, what it comes down to, at least for me, if I see a Skylanders bundle in a thrift store, which I have done since picking this up, I was in a Save the Children's op shop and I saw this basket of Skylanders for $3 a piece. The very first thing I looked for were the crystals. That's what I'm going to rely on when it comes to Skylanders, because if it looks like that fancy key, you should buy it. You never know, you might get one of the ultra rare crystals and they can be worth a lot of money. I sold the one for $69.95. There are crystals here that sell for upwards of $2,000. Again, no idea what they do. They look like fancy keys. If you ever see a Skylanders bundle anywhere, ignore the figures, except if it's like the very expensive one. I think it's like a guy shooting a bow and arrow. You know, that's what I learned 6 months ago when I was trying to do this, when I was trying to like learn a bit more about it, but I didn't get engaged. Ignore the figures. There's not many that are worth money. Just look for the fancy key. They're the crystals. They're the ones that you can make very good money at. I say this obviously as somebody trying to list up items worth over $100. You know, if you bought this bundle yourself, you could probably list each of these individually and make more money, but I'm not interested in doing that. But anyway, that's $140, hopefully turning into just under $1,000. You need to be looking at Facebook Marketplace on the weekend. It's where you can make money. If you're doing garage sales on the Saturday morning, once you get home from those garage sales, Facebook Marketplace. Every single time you pick up your phone, Facebook fucking Marketplace. Moving on, we're going to go back into a Vinnie's. And here's the thing, I've known for quite a while that Boppets are worth picking up. I mean, I sold the McDonald's miniature version, what was it, a year ago for, $25. But there's a collector's market for this shit. And you'll also know if you've been reading flipweekly.com, I've been picking up like all the sort of variations of Boppet for a while now. You know, if I see a new one, I'm going to buy it. I think the last one I sold was the Star Wars BB-8. Is it BB-8, the R2-D2 looking thing from the new Star Wars? I found a Boppet of that, sold for whatever, and I made it sort of like a side mission to be buying these weird Boppets, the ones that you just haven't really seen. So I found a Boppet this week. It was the Boppet Extreme 2, but this one came in hot pink. It was fucking pink. It was $6 at Vinnie's. And because of these variations, they're not the mainstream. There's always going to be less supply than there is demand, especially within this sort of collector's area. I don't know who is collecting Boppets, but there is collectors. I mean, there's a photo on Flip Weekly of somebody's collection that I found on Reddit. They have an entire wardrobe filled with Boppets. You know, they're on each shelf where clothes are supposed to be. They're hanging from the rod where clothes are supposed to be on coat hangers. People collect this shit. And so I paid $6 for this pink Boppet. The sell-through rate is incredibly high, sitting at 142%. There's none available locally within Australia, so we can add on our Australia tax. There's only 5 available on all of eBay, and I'm looking at sold comps. $80.24, $79.95. Because the supply is so low, I think we can get $99.95. I think we can turn this fucking Boppet into $100. It still works. I tested it out. I think my score was 3. What does that tell you about me? I was reading on Reddit when people were talking about these Boppets, the Extreme 2. Everyone was saying, what's your highest score? 150, 200, 220. I'm on 3. But whatever. I don't care if my high score is 3 because we're going to turn $6 into $99.95. Thank you very much. Now, I did find a couple of other things in thrift stores this week that I'm not going to talk about in detail. They include a couple of vintage lunchboxes that are going to be worth a lot of money, including one that has been viewed on Facebook Marketplace almost 1,000 times in 72 hours. Jump onto flipweekly.com if you want to check that out. We also have a couple of jerseys that I bought and sold within 24 hours, really quick sellers. I'm not going to go into detail on those because I want to talk about this last Vinnie's find that I paid $9 for. And when I talk about this, I'm going to try and be open. I don't want to be too judgmental, okay? And tell me if I am being too judgmental. It was 2 books, 2 big books. They came within a slipcase. They were on the very bottom of the bookshelf and they stood out to me because they were quite big in the slipcase, okay? It was called The Encyclopedia of Whole Food Medicine. Now, I know a lot of resellers pick up these books. They sit on the shelf for years. They ask for big money. You know, you go to the reference and education section on Savers. I'm sure you could find every single book there that comps out for at least $100, but they just don't sell. So if I'm ever going to buy these sort of books, I want a good sell-through rate. So this book, Encyclopedia of Whole Food Medicine, it describes itself as a pharmacist desk reference. However, the word pharmacist is spelt with an F, not with the PH. And if you're just thinking like, that's not how you spell pharmacist, well, congratulations on not getting your fucking medical advice from Facebook. Because this book appears to be a whole lot of medical advice from somebody who can't legally call themselves, a doctor or a pharmacist, PH. This sort of shit rubs me the wrong way, but okay, I'm trying to be open. I open up the book. I buy it, by the way. I spend $9 on this crap. I bring it home. I open it up, and the very first thing you see inside this book, it's a quote from the author, and it says, "Everything I put in this book is simply my opinion. If you do anything I recommend without the supervision of a licensed medical doctor, you do so at your own risk." Giant fucking eye roll from me, right? This guy's name is Don Tolman. He's the author of this book. I looked this guy up. He likes to be referred to as the whole food medicine cowboy. Now, if you're getting your medical advice from the medicine cowboy, you're in for a bit of a shock. And look, I'm not one to pass judgment on a medicine cowboy. I'm just your standard fucking Aussie idiot, right? Like, I don't know anything about medicine. I really, really don't. But this book, it appears to be filled with misinformation. It's got some health advice that seems dangerous, and most of it just seems to be fucking nonsense, right? Like, the entire slipcase, they're just quotes from famous historical figures, but the point of that is just to justify the book's gibberish, right? Because for every claim inside of this book, there's no sources. They don't list any sources. We have some real facts, but they're intertwined between like these outrageous claims, and all they do is try to lend itself to being an accurate source of information. And when I look at this guy, I'm not kidding, handlebar mustache, wearing a cowboy hat. Have you ever seen the photo of Ivan Milat holding the gun? Because the dude looks exactly the same. But I'm being open. I'm not trying to shit on this guy. He's making a living selling this sort of stuff. But then I started looking more into this person. I looked into what other products they were selling. You know, there's one product on this guy's website called the Jewel of Thor Ancient Elixir. Now this is $70, and what it is, it looks like aloe vera juice mixed with quote unquote 24 karat medicinal gold flakes. Like, come on, $70 for this shit? As a drink, right? And the thing is, in the description, you always notice this with these cunts. This blend may support digestive comfort. It also contains natural antioxidants that may assist in protecting cells, blah, blah, blah. It's always may, it might do this. They're just claims backed up by fucking nothing. I've never been one to support this sort of bullshit. I don't believe in any sort of medicine that isn't scientifically backed or scientifically proven. You know, if you're buying something that says it may assist, or instead of it will assist, it will help, it may help, you're buying fucking snake oil, right? Like, I was at Chemist Warehouse the other day with my girl. I walked down the aisle of essential oils. That's another thing I cannot stand, essential oils. There was one that was flavored rosemary. On it, it said it may assist in creativity. What the fuck does that mean? You know, you put it in one of those essential oil burners and you smell it. You know, I've put this stuff in steaks. You know, you chuck it in the pan, baste it with some butter when you're cooking a steak. I've ingested this stuff. I didn't immediately become creative. And then another time, I was with an ex years and years and years ago, and I came down with the flu. I came down with your common cold. And I was over at her house, and the parents said, you know, we have some of these essential oils. You put them on your feet, and they're supposed to, you know, make you feel better, make the cold go away. And I'm just thinking, on my feet, you mean I don't take it with food or water? I don't swallow a pill? I put oil on my feet? Are you being serious, or are you fucking with me? You know what I mean? I went onto this guy's website. I'm going to quote a sentence from his fucking website about how he helped himself after he was in a car accident. I kid you fucking not. Quote, Don Tolman famously used sun gazing during his healing journey after a car accident, supporting his vision and overall well-being through this daily practice. Are you fucking serious, man? This guy got into a car accident and stared at the sun. He said it supported his vision. Imagine going to the doctors. You've been in a car accident, they ask you, have you looked at the sun lately? And then I go onto his other website, and this is where we have something in common. He's got a newsletter. On the newsletter website, which of course is paid, $15 a month or $150 a year, he says this, Over the years in the international media, I've been referred to as the Indiana Jones of whole food medicine. What does that even mean? What is that saying to you? The Indiana Jones of whole food medicine, those things don't go together. And if you want to sign up at $15 a month, $150 a year, they have a sample email, right? They have a sample email on the homepage telling you how to stop a heart attack in its tracks. And you know what one of the fucking dot points is? It's telling you, mix 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper in a glass of warm water to make a pepper tea and drink it quickly. This cunt's telling you if you have a heart attack, go boil the kettle, make some tea. You think you're going to be doing that if you have a heart attack? In the middle of a heart attack? Not to mention, that is just old fucking folklore that isn't true. It's been debunked millions of fucking times. He says any one of the 3 above may halt the heart attack and negate the need for medical intervention, which invariably leads to prescription drugs and or surgery. So obviously this guy is against prescription drugs and surgery. He doesn't want you to go to the doctors and get medicine or whatever the fuck you get for a heart attack. He wants you to make a cup of tea. This sort of stuff is just bullshit. It's snake oil. It's filled with just misinformation. It's filled with that sort of stuff. We have Indiana Jones telling you here to make some fucking tea if you're dying. Everything will be okay. Go look at the sun. Have you looked at the sun today? You're on your deathbed. Look at the fucking sun. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Anyway, these grifters, they're going to grift, right? So the book's expensive. You can buy the digital copy on his website for $99. I'm not even kidding. For the digital copy. Or you can head to eBay for the physical copy because it's out of print. I guess nobody's printing this anymore because it's just filled with the most ridiculous shit you've ever seen. But here's the other thing. Man, I don't know if you've been online lately, but there are some fucking quacks out there. They believe anything that they see online. And I know this personally because I've dealt with this. I've dealt with, I won't say who, but someone close to the family, close to my mum. Their husband was having issues with his health. He was passing out on the toilet. He was refusing to go see a doctor. And eventually when he did, he got diagnosed with stage 4 bowel cancer. Horrific. Terrible news. I feel so bad. They do some radiation. They do some chemo. Eventually, they decide to look for alternative medicines. They come across a medicine online. They believe in it. You know how this shit works. There's one person pushing it. There's somebody selling it. It becomes your whole fucking personality. I could see it happening from a mile away. They import some of this medication from the US where this shit doesn't need to pass any sort of tests. You just import it. They stopped going to the doctor. They were taking this at home. And then because they're not fucking doctors, they're not surgeons, they don't know what they're doing. Oh, I feel a bit better. Miracle. It's a miracle drug. They start sharing this shit all over Facebook. They start promoting it to everyone else. This is how it works. And you know what happened? This little placebo effect that wasn't making you better has just delayed your treatment, probably costing you time. They go back to the doctors when they're not feeling better and they say, it's still there. Why were you doing this without telling me? You've gone around us. Look, I know they're just seeking help. They have no hope in traditional medicine, so they look for this alternate means. But when you have people that are going to grift, they're going to sell something that you want to hear. And that's what I think this person is doing. They've put out this book. It's going to tell you what you want to hear. And as far as I know, majority of it is untrue. Anyway, I've bought it to resell, so I don't know what that makes me. You know, I'm an advocate against this shit, and yet I'm going to be reselling it. I think this is just another hypocrite Matt moment. But the sell-through rate on eBay sitting at exactly 100%. 9 active, 9 sold. Looks to be about $200 for these 2 books in the slipcase. We have a sold listing at $225. We have one for $180 without the slipcase. It's on bid. You know, somebody had an auction with 38 bids, $161. So all of that combined made me think, well, this is going to be, you know, a way to make money. It feels really fucking slimy, don't get me wrong. I really, really hate that somebody's going to be buying this book, probably seeking hope. But yeah, I don't know. Don't get your medical advice from Facebook or from anybody that cannot call themselves a real doctor, a real pharmacist. If there's something wrong with you, go and see a doctor. It shouldn't even have to be said, right? But regardless, I guess this is a podcast all about reselling. So that's what I'm going to be telling you about. If you see this fucking guy, people go crazy for him. So buy the fucking book to resell. I don't have to take a moral stance with everything that I put onto eBay. I don't agree with it. But if you're in the reselling game, it resells for good money. And a lot of this kind of stuff in this niche sells for really good money. Just think, if somebody's grifting, they're not going to grift you out of $5, $10. They're going to charge up the arse, which this cunt did. And so it resells for $200. Moving on after that little rant, I'm going to talk about what I sold for the week. We've had some decent sales. So starting off, the Crush Gear Turbo models that I picked up from Lifeline for $2. I started off by listing just one. I listed it for $99.95 and it sold in 2 hours. And that got me really excited because I have 2 more of these things. So I decided to list the second one for $199.95. It sold in 48 hours. That was $2 into $200 in 48 hours. And we still have one remaining. So I'm thinking, well, I've gone from 99 to 199. Do I then go to 299? I mean, we're the only one on eBay. But then something bad happened. I opened it up and unfortunately, it's missing a pack of gears. And I'm thinking, damn, man, like I could have tried for 300, but instead it's missing some parts. So I'm settling for $79.95. And if that sells, it's going to be $6 into 380. At the moment, it's 4 into 300. But fucking hell, man. That's all within this week. Bought it, listed it, sold it. Thank you to Lifeline and their, I don't want to say ignorance, but laziness is even worse. I'm not trying to shit on them again. Thank you for, putting them out. And then we move on to the Skylanders figures. So the ones that were worth under $50, I listed them all up on Facebook Marketplace for $100. Somebody came and picked them up pretty much as soon as I listed them on Marketplace. So they're gone now. I get to focus on the money makers. The ones that are going to make me majority of the money back. I mean, they already have. That's $100 back. One of them sold for $69.95, the little fancy key. We just have to wait for the bigger ones to sell. The chest. The $250 chest. The other one that's worth $250. We've made our money back. That's amazing, right? And they're the tips for Skylanders. Like I said, look for that fancy little key thing. Doesn't look like the figures, but they'll be included in the bundles. Look for the storage chest. The storage chest alone is going to be worth 10 times what 10 of the little figures are worth. There is money to be made in 2026 with Skylanders. You just have to know what you're looking for. So we move past that. We're onto Street Sharks. We have another one out the door. This is the Street Sharks Evil Reptile. Now these Street Sharks, they're still selling. People have been flirting with the low value ones. We've still got the most expensive one remaining, which is over $400. That's the hand puppet. We have a couple more as well. Hopefully they sell soon. We had a couple of video games out the door. Low value ones though. We had Crash Nitro Kart on GameCube for $35. We had WCW NWO Revenge at $30. I never bought like a GameCube bundle from Marketplace before. Everyone talks about GameCube. Like you need to get GameCube if you're reselling video games. Every single time I bought them, the games have been okay. They haven't really sold like quickly. I get this as like a shit game, I guess. Crash Nitro Kart. Looks like the Crash Bandicoot version of Mario Kart. It's taken a while. I'd rather sell like the jersey that I bought this week, South Sydney Rabbitohs jersey. I paid $20 for it. And that's paying up, but it sold the next day for $50. And when I bought it, I knew it was going to be out the door the next day. So I was happy to just turn 20 into 50. It's not the most profit, but it's all on Marketplace. It doesn't affect my average sale price on eBay, which I guess I'll tell you right now if I can find it. Obviously I'm trying to buy items very, very cheap. $1 into 100 is usually what I aim for. I could artificially inflate my average sale price, by buying stuff for $70 and listing it for $100. But that's not what I'm here to do. We have an average sale price so far this year of $131. I'd rather be on the other side of that $150, but it is what it is. It's what happens when you don't clear out all of your old inventory. You sell these $35 GameCube games and the $30 Nintendo 64 games. It's going to drag it down. If I saw these in an op shop, I wouldn't bother picking them up. But they all came in bundle deals. So, what are you going to do? Throw them out, give them away, or just list them up and It's a couple of bucks that you wouldn't usually have. I do have a couple of other sales that I've talked about on flipweekly.com. I'm not going to get into them now because there's nothing really that exciting. But what is exciting? Should I do the Goosebumps update first or the biggest flip of all time first? I think I'll talk about the biggest flip of all time first because it's going to be very quick. Because look, I don't know how much I can talk to you about. I really don't. It's supposed to be a secret. It's supposed to be, contracts signed, wait until September, October, August, that sort of date until you'll hear more about it. But what I can tell you, again, I don't know if I'm supposed to, what I can tell you is that, look, my most expensive flip of all time has been $60 into $1,600, into $1,600. It's going to blow it out of the water, right? But the shipping fee alone for this biggest flip of all time, I mean, if that expense was measured against my greatest flips, that $1,600 Sonic book bundle, it would almost be up there. The shipping fee alone. I'm saying, I don't know why I'm getting more quiet. It's like, I don't want anyone to hear. It's a fucking secret. The shipping fee alone for this biggest flip of all time, it's $1,000. It's $1,000 fucking dollars. What does that tell you? I'm shipping something big, right? No, I mean, this is, I shipped the Goosebumps, for example, off to Retro Rescuers. That was an entire fucking Bunnings box full of Goosebumps, heavy books too. This is like not much more than that, right? And yet it cost $1,000. What is that? What do you think it is, man? I'd love to hear your ideas of what you think this is. Here's what I've told you so far. Going to be the biggest flip of all time. It's going to leave every other flip in the dust. I'm never going to be able to repeat it. Every single resale I've ever watched, every single resale I've ever talked to, they've never had anything like this. I mean, it may be the only one in the world, Oh man, I really shouldn't be saying this, eh? The shipping fee, $1,000. Let's just leave it at that because I want to tell you more. Trust me, I want to tell you more, but I'm not going to. We have to leave it. We really do have to leave it. Here, I'm going to tell you something we can talk about. Goosebumps. The Goosebumps auction, whatnot, tonight, Thursday, the 23rd of April, 7 p.m. Download the app, whatnot, on iOS, on Android. Search for Retro Rescuers. Bookmark the show, watch the show. But this auction didn't come easily. The date has been pushed back for the past, fucking 2 weeks. Here's what happened. It's been a nightmare. I got an email from Mitchell from Retro Rescuers this week about the status of the parcel. He said to me that it was returned and doesn't know why. Got an update on the parcel today. It's been returned to you. I don't know why. He attached an email from Australia Post. I read through it. Basically just said the parcel's been returned on the request of the sender. I'm thinking, first of all, that's weird because why is he getting updates and I haven't? I've got a case open with Australia Post. The box that I sent was never delivered. It was put in between all these different processing facilities. Why is it now saying the parcel was returned on my request when I hadn't done that? And then I'm thinking I didn't put a fucking return label on this box. Where have they returned it to? And then Mitchell gives me a tracking number. Again, I don't have this. For some reason, it was given to Mitchell. And that's when my heart rate starts to increase because it's after Mitchell telling me it was returned to me, and then I checked the tracking number and it said it had been delivered. I'm like, well, there's nothing here. I checked the suburb. It was delivered to my old fucking house. For whatever reason, Australia Post has sent this back to where I used to live. I no longer live there. Where are they getting this address from? I look at the time. It's about 1 p.m. in the afternoon. It says it was delivered at about 11:30. Now, this is a weekday, so I'm hoping that the people that now live in my old house are either at work or just not at home. So I can race around there now. It's pretty close to where I live now. And I can steal it off their porch like a fucking porch pirate. Or I can reach into the letterbox, try and find a sorry I missed you, and then go to the post office and pick it up. This is a big box. It's a Bunnings moving box. It's like almost 15 kilos. I don't know where it's going to be. I'm starting to think that I hope the people that moved into this house are good people. I could go around there, ask for it, and they say, nope, nothing here. They could open it. They could go through it. Like, what is going to happen? So I jump in the car. I drive around. I haven't been to this house in years, but there's no time to really reminisce and be like, oh, that's changed. Oh, this is what they've done to the house. Oh, the garden's nice. I rock up, park. I walk past the garage and I can see it's open and there's a car inside, which means that somebody is most likely home. But I go straight to the letterbox. It's locked, of course. I go for the front door. I open the front gate. Then I hear a fucking bark. This big fucking dog that looks like the dog from Toy Story. You know, those weird looking things? Comes running out. So I'm fucking shut the gate. So I don't want to get bit by some cunt's dog. And I'm just like, there's no one there. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'll wait it here. The front door was open. This chick comes to the front door and she's like, are you okay? I must have looked like something was wrong. And I'm just like, yeah, hi. I used to live here. And she's like, oh, Matthew. And I think my heart rate just slowed down a bit. Like massive sense of relief. I can see inside the front door that the giant box is there. Like, there it is. And she was like, I was thinking I had no idea how to contact this guy. She's like pulling this 15-kilo box out. She's bringing it to me. I don't open the gate and help her because I see the dog and he's just like staring at my fucking neck. And I get the box off her and I thank her profusely. I'm like, oh my God, I was so worried about this. I start to get into a spiel about how, Australia Post. And I guess she's looking at me like, I don't care. Please leave. Please also don't send your mail here again. So I get the box back home and I open it up. This box has seen better days. It's been to Melbourne and back. It's shifting everywhere. It feels like it's going to disintegrate. And I talked to Mitchell and we're like, well, let's repackage this. Let's do it in Australia Post boxes. Maybe it will be okay then. So we chuck it in 2 Australia Post boxes, ship it back, and there's not a single problem. I don't know why it had a problem in the Bunnings box. It fit within Australia Post dimensions. It was under the weight. They just had a problem with it. So I recommend if you're going to be shipping something that is big and it can go in 2 boxes, maybe try and do that. I think it cost an extra like $20. The Bunnings box was like 30. Shipping these 2 was about 50. But anyway, that doesn't matter because it's in Melbourne now and it's getting ready to be auctioned off. Again, it's on tonight, Thursday, 7 p.m. Do not miss it. Whatnot Retro Rescuers Goosebumps show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be in the chat. Say hi. Let's hope we can make some money. And you know what? There are items there that you can buy to resell. And I've said this to you before. I'm just going to give you my number 1 item I would buy if I was going to be reselling. The number 1 item that I think is going to be overlooked. I think it's going to be the inflatable gravestone. Now, this was a promo item. There are no sold listings on eBay. There's no active listings, but I was able to find one on WorthPoint and it sold for $350. Now, this is just an inflatable. You'll be able to see it on Whatnot. Mitchell has put some starting prices, starting bids on these things. If it was me, personally, I would have just done, $1 starting bid for everything, but he knows what he's doing. They know what they're doing. If you're going to bid on anything to resell, I think that has the most potential. It just looks like a blow-up inflatable. Somebody might look at it and just be like, oh, it's like $20, $50. No, it has resold before for $350. So look for that. I also think the entire series of Goosebumps might go cheap just because on eBay it sells for $500, almost $600. I don't think anyone's going to be forking that out on Whatnot. So if you can get it for like $200 or less, man, you're in for like a good payday. But regardless, everything on that Whatnot auction, it's going to be stuff you've never seen before, or Goosebumps collectors have never seen before. So you could buy anything for like $2 or $3 and then resell it for $50. You might have to wait on it for a while. But yeah, keep an eye out for the inflatable. It should be a fun night. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to fill you in on everything that happens next week if you miss it. Let's have some internal guesses as to what the final, total value would be. Remember, I paid $100 for everything. That was all of the books, all of the collectibles. I have a feeling the total value will be about $1,500, which would be a pretty good, flip, $100 into $1,500. Obviously, I don't get all of that. I'm splitting it with Retro Rescuers. Plus, there's Whatnot fees, shipping fees. I would make so much more money if I did it all on eBay myself. But this is just for fun, and I know it's going to be a fun night. I'm going to tell you all about it next week. So, yeah, it's going to be good. That's all I got for you this week. Thanks again for tuning in. If you want more reseller content, go to flipweekly.com. You'll also be able to see all the photos from everything that I talked about. Go on social media. I'll be posting some of the Insta360 videos soon. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you review the podcast, give it a rate. Same if you're on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. I'm so keen for the auction tonight. I hope I see you there. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you again next week.
Flip, 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 flip weekly.